Once again, the AUA has brought together thousands of urologists from around the world to learn all about the latest in urologic healthcare. This time, we're in the Windy City, where all of you will have access to the latest in your specialties and be able to engage and connect with your colleagues. AUA TV starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome. We are so excited to have you here for the 2023 AUA annual meeting. I'm Dina Baer and I'll be with you as your host for the next few days. Stay tuned, as this year we'll continue to cover all of the latest in the field of urologic care, highlighting organizations that are at the forefront of the field and also speaking to experts that are here on site about some of the leading topics at this year's meeting. First, let's see what some of you had to say about our question of the day.
I'm a urologic oncologist, so I'm most excited about precision medicine and more targeted agents and, genomics playing a really important role in patient care and therapeutic selection.
I think the most exciting thing is there's a lot of innovation that happens in urology. I'm an endourology fellow at UCSF, and I think that a lot of the innovation happens in that subspecialty of urology. So it's an exciting time to be a fellow going to practice soon, and just excited about the future.
Well, it's always been the same thing. It's various aspects. You get to treat women, men, kids, every kind of pathologies, all the tremendous new technologies, tremendous new medication coming up against cancer. Most of the time, things have been changing almost every year since the decades I've been practicing, so it's very exciting.
I've been really impressed at a lot of the sessions about the basic sciences in benign urology. That's traditionally one of the areas that hasn't received a lot of focus, and I see a lot more interest and excitement about that. So as a trainee about to become faculty at some point, I think that's a really, really promising direction for the field.
Dr. Harris Nagler is here now, the president of the Urologic Care Foundation, giving out once again the Humanitarian Award. And we have the great pleasure of being joined by this year's recipient, Dr. Serene Gay. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I want to talk about your work. I want to talk about the award in just a moment. But first, Dr. Nagler, I want to talk about the presidential address and your focus this year.
So our focus is to update the audience on all the activities of the AUA Urologic Care Foundation. The Urologic Care Foundation is focused on improving healthcare around the world. We are a worldwide organization. And what I'm going to show is what we are doing worldwide to improve healthcare. We believe elimination of disparities is an important part of elevating healthcare worldwide. And Dr. Gay is an excellent example of people who are focused on eliminating healthcare disparities and improving healthcare.
And Doctor, I know you do it out of the goodness of your heart and your expertise, but what does it feel like to be awarded for your work?
Well, it was, I think that's something I didn't expect from the AUA, Urologic Care Foundation, and that is the biggest organization in the world, and being recognized by an entity like the Urologic Care Foundation is just something that made me feel like I was on the right path. And I really appreciate it. And I know that it doesn't come from nowhere, it has come from somewhere. I have a lot of friends in the Americas, urologists who work in Africa and somewhere else. And I feel that brought what I do from the other side of the world to the Americas, so it was appreciated. And I really thank you very much, Mr. President.
And I know Dr. Nagler said that it was a unanimous choice for you. I don't want you to be humble now. I want you to tell me about what you do that is so important, that touches so many people.
Well, actually, I never work in my life. I have never done any work since I started working. Actually, I'm living a passion. This goes back from when I decided to become a doctor. It was a personal choice, and that came from a family disaster. Having my dad working, going and coming, and dead in the afternoon, without care at the hospital. I was very young. I was about 11 years old. And very early in my high school years, I decided to become a doctor and not telling to anybody. Actually, it's like I'm trying to cure my dad, who had not been privileged to get services when we got to that hospital on that day of July 30th, 1969. And since then, I went to the School of Medicine, and hopefully I went to the Army. And being in the Army brought me everywhere, took me everywhere. And then after that, I became a surgeon, I became a urologist, and I just dedicated some time to serve the underserved and to try to help the needy area, the needy nation throughout Africa to make sure they can get training, they can build capacity, and we can service the poor.
Doing so much good out of sadness. I love that. What was it that impressed you most, Dr. Nagler, about Dr. Gai? And how do you think meeting him, hearing his story, helps the field of urology?
Well, he epitomizes what a humanitarian is. He does it for the right reasons. All the glory that he's achieved, if you will, is a byproduct of what he does because he believes in it. He never focused on, I'm going to do this so I benefit. He's trying to help people around him and improve healthcare for people, not just his immediate family, but people throughout Africa. He's united many nations and urologists around Africa to focus on improving healthcare. He's educated them. He actually received the United Nations award for his healthcare efforts in the past as well. So he's an exemplar of the humanitarian initiatives.
And that really does speak to this idea of the disparities in care when you talk about the people that you are serving versus maybe whom you might encounter here in this country.
So we have disparities in healthcare around the world. We recognize that. The Urologic Care Foundation is focused on doing what we can to improve that. And we can do it by three ways. We can educate people. We believe that education is an essential part of getting rid of healthcare disparities. We want to make sure that patients have access to materials that allow them to make intelligent decisions, to be participants in their healthcare. We are doing that in now 11 languages so that this is not just a United States effort, but this is a worldwide effort. We want to educate our educators. We want to make sure that we support researchers so that they can learn how to be healthcare providers and, in fact, be the leaders for the future. So we can, again, alleviate the world of disparities. So the third phase of this is our humanitarian work. And our third phase is humanitarian work where we are supporting individuals to go around the world and help do work like Dr. Gay is doing. Lastly, we have a new initiative that I think is very exciting and important, and that's a healthcare equity fellowship that we're sponsoring. This is a brand new initiative that we're launching this year, and it's a 2-year program. We are going to be educating people to become conversant in the ways of working on healthcare disparities. They are going to get a certificate. They are working with a university to get a certificate in bioethics so that they are better prepared to be the leaders of the future so that we as a society can really move into the future.
Well, gentlemen, you both are making a difference. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Cheryl Lee is here now from The Ohio State University talking about overcoming some of the health disparities in urologic research. Can you outline what some of those challenges are?
Well, to begin with, our field has had the challenge of health disparities across many of our specialties. In oncology, we're dealing with disparities in outcomes, disparities in the consumption of treatments, and disparities in how patients are counseled even. In the world of female urology, there are disparities related to incontinence. In pediatric urology, there's disparities related to circumcision. So I say this to show that across our field, we're dealing with potential inequities in care, and certainly inequities in outcomes. So one of the ways that we can address disparities is to create research models that can test various hypotheses. This is what we do. Normally, our research is focused on developing new treatments, new paradigms, new strategies, new initiatives, and we have the tools to test those strategies over and over again. Whether we're talking about translational research and looking at animal models or cellular models, whether we're thinking about clinical trials and various phases of study, whether we're thinking about health services research, and we look at numerous administrative data sets and approach those data sets with various statistical models, or whether we're thinking about population health and community-based research, where we're moving from community to community to community to address the questions, concerns, and challenges that individual populations face. So we have a track record of identifying a challenge, creating a fundamental structure to study that challenge, but in an iterative fashion. And now we are struggling with the fact that we don't have those same models to study healthcare disparities.
When you think about the research into new treatments and new care protocols, that has been so critical. But unless you address the inequities, that's going to change things clearly for patients and their healthcare providers. What is the greatest benefit, do you think, to focusing on this as something that is paramount in terms of importance?
Well, as a society, healthcare is very expensive. And being unhealthy relates in a great loss of productivity and a great loss of potential. So it is to our advantage to have a healthy population.
So if you had one recommendation to researchers to begin to make an impact when it comes to health disparities, what would it be?
Collaborate and demand the information that's needed for us to look at the situations that may trigger and lead to disparities. Social determinants of health, for example. How do the social determinants impact cellular structure? How does that impact disease and treatment resistance? We need to ask these questions, and we need to create the models, be they cellular models, be they preclinical models, be they approaches to modeling clinical trials with relaxed eligibility criteria, with health system strategies to improve representation, or community-based models to engage patients and understand what they feel is important and what they need. We have to create those models to address the questions that will then hopefully lead us to that iterative process of hypothesis generation, trial and error, and coming up with real strategies to reduce disparities.
Well, Dr. Lee, it's going to be a journey, but you are beginning the process in the right direction. Thank you. Let's begin our tour of organizations that are at the forefront of urology and urologic care. In Louisiana, LSU Shreveport has the unique position of fostering a close-knit culture while serving patients from across hundreds of miles. Let's see how their urology department is bringing top-notch care to patients from Louisiana, Texas, and Arkansas.
Ochsner LSU Health is the region's only level 1 trauma center servicing hundreds and hundreds of miles in diameter. And LSU Health Shreveport is also the only academic medical center in this region. Access to care is always an issue that we're all fighting. We want to be able to deliver the care that we need to everybody.
Our patients appreciate the comprehensive nature of the care that we provide here, ranging from multiple specialties to multiple imaging modalities, the ability to have surgery on site. For me, what sets this department apart from others is it really feels like a family here. We truly have one of the most incredible teams that I could draft really to work with.
Rush Urology provides comprehensive care and treatment options of urological diseases and disorders using state-of-the-art technology and techniques, including minimally invasive laparoscopic and robotic surgeries. Let's take a closer look.
What we have here at Rush Urology is the full spectrum of surgical specialists, not only using the robot, but also involved with infertility, male reconstructive urology, female pelvic floor reconstructive urology, stone disease, advanced treatments for benign prostate disease. So across the entire spectrum, including robotics in the treatment of cancer and reconstruction like vaginoplasty and other gender affirmation surgeries.
Innovation is important, and it's a philosophy of mine when I talk about patient care, because ultimately it's about how can we treat the patient while minimizing any side effects from treatment. And I use a robot for oncology, for reconstruction. We have 5 multi-port robots, and we also have 1 single-port robot. Using only 1 incision allows us to stay out of important structures like the space where the bowel is contained. It really minimizes complication. It helps with pain control afterwards, and it allows us to send selected patients to go home the same day.
The Duke Clinical Research Institute at Duke University is the world's largest academic research organization, combining the benefits of a premier teaching hospital with the full-service capabilities of a clinical research organization. Let's head down to Durham.
The Duke Clinical Research Institute, or DCRI, is the world's largest academic research organization. The real strength of partnerships between the Duke University School of Medicine and the DCRI is blending the academic faculty of Duke along with the world-class clinical research operations.
Right now we have this clinical trial data that's so important and forms our guidelines. And then we have these real-world outcomes that don't measure up to what our clinical trial outcomes are. And we need to understand why.
We were sort of on a fact-finding mission, attempting to characterize the experience for patients and determine, what symptoms are the worst and at what time points.
We want to know if the flume catheter they've developed is more comfortable than existing catheters that are available on the market.
Our mission is to develop, share, and implement knowledge around the world through innovative clinical research.
Today, we got the chance to connect with multiple startup organizations looking to enter the urology space, and they're showcasing their products or services in front of thousands of urology professionals. Let's see what they have to show.
So we're here to present Flosom, which is a natural supplement for prostate health. We're here to show it off to the urologists, the first time at AUA, and excited to share what we have. We are really a relatively new product, so we're trying to get the word out and show that we have something that actually is like a better mousetrap, something that works and it's natural and doesn't cause side effects like a lot of the prescription drugs that our doctors in the US are prescribing regularly.
Yeah, the main mission of Marion Surgical or Marion Immersive is to bring quality training to residents and also surgical rehearsals for urologists. So the AUA is the Super Bowl of urology. Everybody's here, thousands of urologists, exactly our customer base, medical device companies that we want to work with or that we're working with. It's a great place to showcase our product, get early feedback, meet residents, etc.
Our mission is to bring automated intraoperative monitoring to all high-risk surgeries. Only about 30% of high-risk surgeries are monitored currently, which means that patients and surgeons don't have that peace of mind knowing that someone's watching out for them, protecting outcomes, and preserving patient quality of life. For us, we just want to talk to doctors, talk to urologists, talk to surgeons, get their feedback, and really understand, is our understanding of the market and what people need on point? Do we need to tailor our product? And just really understand people's needs.
Well Prepped is a way for doctors to be more productive and to get back to the reason why they wanted to be a doctor in the first place. The mission for Well Prepped is to fix clinic day. Right now, we spend most of our time explaining basic concepts to patients over and over again. What if they could show up to clinic already knowing the basics? That's what Well Prepped now allows doctors to do. So I've been coming to this meeting as a participant, as a urologist, for 20 years. And now, having stumbled upon this solution to make clinic day just a little bit easier for urologists, to be able to be here and to spread that message to my friends and to my colleagues is incredibly special. You know, it's hard for me to actually put into words.
Dr. Deepak Kapoor is here with the AUA Office of Research talking about the Symposium for Independent Practice Researchers. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about the goal of this symposium.
Really, it's to go ahead and have people in independent practice understand that there's a role for them in research, and the AUA recognizing that that role exists and trying to fill the void to provide a bridge, because so many patients are being seen in the independent practice setting. You know, very unfortunately, urology lags behind other specialties in terms of the degree of research funding, especially with NIH grants. And it's really important that we continue to press forward and expand the fund of urologic knowledge. And so the chairman of the AUA Research Committee or Council, not sure what it's called, Dr. Stephen Kaplan, made one of his priorities to expand the outreach for the AUA into the independent practice community, to develop researchers, to foster an interest in research, and for those people that are doing research to increase the opportunities that exist for them in their research programs.
Wonderful idea. What impact do you think the symposium will have in terms of putting this into action?
Well, I think that we were pretty excited. We had great turnout. Turnout was, I think, the second highest of all the symposiums, and most of them have been going on for multiple years. So we had a lot of people come in and out of the meeting, and that is really gratifying. I think that the researchers that were there, I think there were a lot of tips and tricks, so they're going to be able to take that back to their practices and do it better. And I had a number of people come up to me and say that, wow, this is really inspiring, and they may want to go ahead and get these programs started. So I think that the biggest impact for me for this particular symposium is not necessarily what will come out of this meeting, but really serve as a seed that we can germinate for future meetings and future development. So the mere fact that that at this meeting, when there's so much going on, that so many people stop by the meeting, will serve as the nidus for the AUA to continue the efforts. We had a lot of industry participation at the meeting. That was one aspect of the symposium, which was how do you create a collaboration with industry partners? And I think that that's something that's really often overlooked, but the partnership between industry and researchers is really important.
I think the key to the collaboration may be talking about the influence on the non-academic urologists and how they will be impacted.
Not only on the non-academic urologists, but on the academic urologists as well, because the pressures on academic urologists are such, and we had a wonderful panel with some very distinguished academicians, and the pressures on academic physicians to produce clinically has greatly increased. And so their ability to have preserved full-time research is becoming really constrained. So a way that they can expand their passion and their interest for research is to develop collaborative relationships with independent practices. So they may have a lot more clinical obligations as well, but if they recognize that there are people in their community that also have a passion for research and everybody works together, then I think that it can foster education on both sides, you know, the quote unquote town and gown, because really there is no such division. We're all here to take care of patients. There's not enough urologists in the United States. There's not enough people doing the work. And for us to continue to thrive as a specialty, I think it's really important for us to identify ways that we can collaborate together and expand the knowledge in our field for the good of our patients.
Working together for the greater good of urology.
You know,
Thank
that's probably the takeaway message for the whole thing.
All right, thanks, doctor. We are talking now about the amazing Future of Urology program here at AUA, pairing mentors and mentees. And today we have Dr. Denise Asafu-Ajay here, who is our mentor, and then our medical student, Talmadge Gaither. Thank you for being here. So you all had a wonderful day being paired up together. Tell me a little bit about the goal of this program.
So the goal of this program is really to expose, early on medical students to urology with a focus on underrepresented groups in urology, such as, Black students, women, Latino students, etc. Traditionally, these groups are underserved in urology, meaning that when we think about the U.S. population and urology, the breakdown of urologists really does not mirror the U.S. population. And so when we think about really trying to have our specialty mirror what the U.S. population looks like, we have a ways to go. About 2% of urologists are Black, for example, compared to the U.S. population, where of course our breakdown is a little bit higher. And so when we think about the future program, we really are just trying to diversify the pipeline of students and people that are going into urology.
So Talmadge, you are the future that we're so excited about. Tell me about the day.
It was absolutely amazing. Start off the day following Dr. Denise, going to sexual medicine conferences, listening to all the speakers. Then I followed Dr. Bressler, and she showed me some hands-on techniques with the robots and ureteroscopes. Then we watched the debates with the residents, and in the day talking about research. Just a lot of exposure. Dr. Denise was so kind to show me and introduce me to so many different people as well. I'm just happy.
Did it confirm your passion for this field?
I believe so. I still have a long ways to go, but it's helped a lot.
Did you know when you got into this, you knew you liked urology. Did you know that you were really breaking barriers by getting into it?
Not necessarily. I've had limited exposure. I followed one urologist prior to medical school, so that was kind of like breaking the door a little bit, but I didn't know there was such a big gap.
So clearly there is a need for this program. Do you see it expanding?
Yeah, so this was really represented for us a kickoff program for a national agenda that we have for really increasing the diversity of the urology pipeline and really getting more students exposed to urology. And so our goal is to really have a presence in every city that we have this scientific meeting. So us being here in Chicago was really a start. But we are in the middle of setting up a program for students around the country to be able to access urologists, to get that exposure, and to really increase their chances of getting into this field. Urology is traditionally quite difficult to get into, and so the earlier exposure, the early mentorship really, really makes a difference, and it matters. A lot of the students really had no idea what some urologists did, and now that may be a couple of extra people that are in our field that are breaking barriers and that are really allowing us to best treat our patients and really represent the populations that we're treating. So I'm really excited, and even students that couldn't make it for this meeting, we are setting up the infrastructure for them to access urology and for them to get their foot in the door.
How about recruiting other doctors? Because I know you're so busy in your field. How important is it to do this work? And what would you say to others about the reward?
I think the reward is really in the perpetuity of our field. I won't be practicing forever. Students like TJ hopefully will be taking over one day. And I think it's important that people see the value of urology. On the whole, most Americans can't access urologists. Even when we look outside of the breakdown of the people, there's about 4 urologists for every 100,000 people in the United States. We need urologists. And so the more that we expose to it, it's really important just for the longevity of our field. So I'd say for, the urologist that may not have time, I know that we're all busy, but sometimes it doesn't take much to, influence people. You never know, even the day that someone spends with you, that could be all the difference in them choosing a field that they otherwise wouldn't have been exposed to. And, of course, there are various levels of engagement. So you just have to gauge, what your availability is. But I think, you just kind of see what you can make time for, whether it's someone shadowing you in the office, following you at a conference for the day. I think it was pretty seamless for, to integrate straight, TJ, into my day yesterday, and it's a start. It's the beginning, so of course we have a lot of fine-tuning and improvement to do, but I think it's off to a tremendous start, and I'm so thankful for all of the urologists, all of my colleagues who really, really made the effort to make this a successful day. We had over 50 mentors, over 50 mentees who spent the day, across specialties, so it was a huge success. So we are really excited and ready to bring it even more next year.
So being the beneficiary of this, what do you see in your future? The two of you keeping in touch, you paying it forward, being a mentor one day?
All right, 100% paying it forward for sure, and I love to keep in touch always. But mentorship is very important. I definitely want to mentor M1s at my own institution, tell them to reach out and make these connections as well, especially urology if they have the curiosity. I think it's very important, and it's been beneficial to me already.
Yeah, he's not getting rid of me anytime soon. We have to make sure we keep him in. So watch out, 3 years, he should be applying.
That's excellent. I love the collaboration. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for us today, but we hope you've enjoyed all of our exclusive material. Make sure to tune in on our televisions throughout the convention center, in the shuttle buses, your hotel room, and online. We'll see you again tomorrow.